Okay, so let's look at graphical presentation of inequalities. How we can use a graph to represent inequalities. Now, all you have to do is to follow the same procedure you would take for drawing lines with only two additional steps. So if you haven't done the topic on drawing lines, I suggest you do that first. But if you now know how to draw lines, all you need to do is add two additional steps, right? You follow the same procedure of drawing a line, but what you need to do is that in this case now for inequalities, you need to first of all decide what type of line you're going to draw. There's two types of line. There's a broken line and then there's a continuous line. Here's a broken or dashed line and there's a continuous line. A broken line is drawn when the inequalities have these signs, a greater than sign or a less than sign. This is when you draw a broken line. If the inequality has a greater than or equal to, or it has a less than or equal to sign, it means you now draw a solid continuous line, right? So that's the first decision you make. After you follow all the other procedures that pertain to lines, we're going to go through all of them. The next thing is you shade the unwanted region. You shade the unwanted region. So if your inequality has a y, as we are seeing here, right? If your inequality is saying y is greater than a, what we need to understand is that when you look at your line, the region above is greater. The region above the line is greater, and the region below the line is less. Right? So if our statement is saying y is greater, so we want y to be greater. We have to shade the unwanted region, what we don't want. We don't want y to be less, so I would shade below the line. So I would go ahead and strike off the region below the line. Because y is greater, we only want to focus on what y is, not what it is not. So we shade or we cancel out what is less, because that's the unwanted region. So let's look at an example and go through that. So we have our line, our inequality, y is greater than x plus 1. So for this inequality, we need to draw a table of values, just like you would for lines, right? You draw a table of values, and then you pick any two values of x, right? Right, so in this case, I'm going to pick 0 and 1. When x is equal to 0, y, right, we'll ignore the inequality sign for now, or we can put it y is greater than 0 plus 1, y is greater than 1. So we'll put a 1 for y. When x is equal to 1, y is greater than 1 plus 1, y is greater than 2, so we put a 2 there. We're just substituting the values of x there. When x is 0, we remove x, put a 0. 0 plus 1 gives you 1. When x is 1, remove x, put a 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, right? So our table is 0, 1, and 1, 2. So we can go and mark those off on our graph. 0, 1, and 1, 2. So 0, 1. So 0 and 1, there's the point. 1 and 2, there's the point. Now, what we have to do is to draw a line through these points. But before we draw a line, remember what we need to do. We need to decide what type of line we are going to draw. Since we have a sign like this one, it means we're drawing a broken line, right? We're going to draw a broken line for that. So you take your ruler and then you draw your broken line through those points. So it's going to be something like that. And then I can label that y is greater than x plus 1. So we're almost through with that, right? We figured the points, we drew the line. The last part is to shade the unwanted region, right? You need to cancel off the unwanted region. So we look at y. Y is greater. and the greater region is above the line, right? So what we do not want is what is below the line. We want y to be great, so we cancel off everything below the line. So once we do this, our inequality is complete. So let's try another example. We have y is less than or equal to 4 minus x. So I draw my table of values again. So I have a table of values there where I can have 2 values of x and 2 values of y. So I can pick any 2 values, right? In this case, I can pick a 0 and a, for interest's sake, a 3, right? So when x is 0, y is 4 minus 0, which gives you 4. When x is 3, y is 4 minus 3, which gives you a 1. So I've got my points 0, 4, and 3, 1. And I can mark those points 0, 4, and 3, 1. So 0 and 4, 3 and 1. So now I want to draw my line through those 2 points, but I need to decide what kind of line I draw. So since we have a less than or equal to, this time I draw a solid continuous line. Because of that, there I draw a solid continuous line. So I can go and draw my line, make sure it passes through those 2 points. I'm using my ruler, and I can label this. This is y is less than 4 minus x. Y is less than or equal to 4 minus x. So this is y is less than or equal to 4 minus x. Now, in this case, we want to now shade the unwanted region. In this case, y is less. What is less is below the line. So what we do not want is what is above the line. We want to shade off what is irrelevant and what does not apply to this inequality, right? This inequality is less, so we don't want what is above, we don't want what is greater, so we shade that. So that's the simple procedure you follow when you're drawing inequalities.